On to our main story today. We are talking about Sudan. Our hearts go out to all the innocent people out there in the capital, around the country, and in the diaspora. People in the capital right now are living in some very saddening conditions that are truly horrible. The intense fighting in the streets is preventing people from retrieving the bodies of innocent victims, and they're just left out to rot in the streets. The few survivors there are afraid for their lives because there's gangs raping and looting all around the capital. Some people that are lucky enough to flee, and they get to border towns and are stuck there for days with no food, no water, no shelter. A lot of people are dying, and it's really sickening. And who's to blame for this chaos? There's two corrupt bozos that have forcefully taken the government out of people's hands, and now they're fighting each other for a position that they have no right being in, and putting 44 million people's lives in jeopardy. And now 55 days into the conflict and several ceasefires later, and there is still no hope in sight.
Well, you have the United States and Saudi Arabia, the mediators that mediated the now collapsed ceasefire between the two warring sides. They say that they've seen a lack of seriousness from both parties to commit to the ceasefire that they signed, a ceasefire which technically is supposed to end today, but has not been manifested on the ground.
And all because of greed. People need to understand that this bozo Hameti made hundreds of millions of dollars exploiting Sudan's natural resources. 77% of Sudan's gold has been stolen and sold to the UAE and Russia. Now, people might say that this is something that was done in the past, but as you'll see from this video, this conflict is still being fueled by these resources that are exploited.
And videos of Wagner troops training Sudanese soldiers surfaced on social media. In 2019, when al-Bashir was overthrown in a military coup, the arrangement persisted, proving just how enmeshed Wagner troops and the Sudanese army have become. And that's because the Wagner Group has a lot to gain. In exchange for providing weapons and training, the Wagner Group operates gold plants like this one, where they exploit Sudan's natural resources.
Getting that kind of high-value commodity that can be quickly turned into cash through a money laundering enterprise is a big part of the Wagner Group playbook.
These money-hungry lowlifes are destroying one of Africa's biggest countries and the continent's future. Sudan had always had leeches sucking off of its natural resources, and of course, it's one of the most magical places.
Sudan is a geostrategically important country. It sits astride the Nile, which is the lifeline to Egypt. It's home to these ports near the vital choke points of our global economy, the Suez Canal and the Horn of Africa, where 10% of world trade passes through, including huge amounts of oil. Powerful countries around the globe are always trying to put military bases here. They want to control bases and ports simply because of its vital importance for global trade. Sudan is also loaded with resources: gold, zinc, silver, chromite, and iron. This is stuff that foreign countries want and need.
With the most magical people. And now these two bozos, Hameti and Burhan, are destroying this country, and they are even responsible for a genocide, a whole war called the Forgotten War in Darfur. Now, you see how terrible these two people are. I want to say it's very important to not let history be written the wrong way. We can't let these two bozos hijack the people's revolution. People went out and protested, and that's what brought down the dictator before. And it was only in the last second that the forces of these two bozos joined the fight, and they actually were responsible for shooting at the protesters and killing people. So it's unfair to say that they really had a hand in helping this protest. There's a lot of sources out there in the internet that are writing history the wrong way and saying that these two people helped the revolution when they were actually responsible for many of the casualties and many of the barricades that the people had to get through to take down the last dictator. Anyways, like I said, we're used to this enemy. Sudan had always had people like this, but now the time is different. We have the internet. We have the ability for the powerful diaspora of Sudanese people out there to all connect and figure out solutions of how to help people in Sudan right now. And the beautiful thing about the internet is that it exposes all these injustices and all these war crimes that are happening, so people can't ignore them anymore, and governments can't ignore them anymore. So I say let's utilize this tool, let's get together, let's brainstorm some more solutions to figure out what to do about this problem. There's definitely people working on this day and night, and what we can do is we can just help as much as we can. So I want to put a call out there to all my Sudanese people here in the US, overseas in London, and as a matter of fact, anybody who is interested in solving this conflict and bringing justice to Africa. I want us to get together, so send me a message, let's talk in the comments, and let's figure out some solutions, and let's try to do that to the best of our abilities. And for now, the least we can do is just continue to share information on our social medias and continue to spread the message so we can make sure that we have all eyes on Sudan and we can help the people.